Psychic awakening is a natural part of spiritual ascension. It is the result of our expanding awareness of our oneness with each other and with all of creation. If you think you may be experiencing awakening or ascension, then know that you are not alone and that these messages are for you. Tune in with me and get ready to receive angel guidance on how to know if you're experiencing a psychic awakening on your ascension path. I'm Sarah Hall, and I'm a psychic channel for the angels and teacher on the path of ascension. Ascension is your awakening to who and what you are in divine truth, an eternal being of unlimited divine power, imbued with the same consciousness of love that first gave rise to this universe. To learn more about exactly what ascension is and is not, check out my video on this here. Psychic awakening is a big part of the process of ascension because as our consciousness ascends spiritually, we're experiencing more and more of our oneness with each other and with the universe. Your psychic gifts are basically the sensory aspects of your consciousness capable of picking up on information from the mental and spiritual levels of being. Your 5 physical senses, seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling, help you receive information from the physical realm, and your psychic senses help you to receive information from the mental and spiritual realms. These psychic senses are not new to you, and they are not unique to only a select few people. These are universal senses that everyone has, but not everyone is consciously aware of. As we progress on the path of ascension, we start to consciously awaken to these senses, which can produce some distinct signs and symptoms, some of which may be uplifting and some of which can be challenging. Just a quick heads up that if you want help in awakening your psychic gifts, as well as doing deep healing work to rise on the path of ascension, then you've come to the right place. You can apply to work with me in my Angelic Ascension coaching program by clicking the link I left for you in the description below. Spots are limited and registration closes on March 3rd, so be sure to grab your spot right away if you're feeling the call. Now, let's dive into the top 7 symptoms of psychic awakening and the angel's guidance on how to balance them for your highest empowerment. The first sign of psychic awakening is heightened sensitivity. Your psychic senses mirror your physical senses. Just as you may see or hear in the physical world, you may also receive visions or auditory input in the conscious plane from the mental and spiritual energies in which we all collectively share. For the most part, the psychic sensory input most people receive is processed within their subconscious mind. But as you grow on the path of spiritual ascension, you begin to become consciously aware of this psychic sensory input. This can feel intense at first because it may seem as if all of your senses are being flooded with an increase in sensitivity. You might feel more overwhelmed by being in busy public environments, intolerant to certain foods, beverages, or chemicals, or overstimulated by strong emotional stories you hear about the world at large. The reason for all of this is that you're beginning to more consciously process the mental and spiritual input you receive from the world. You're not just hearing an emotional story, you're feeling it as if you're living it firsthand. You're not just eating a meal, you're absorbing all of the spiritual and mental life force that went into its creation. This conscious awareness of the mental and spiritual input you're receiving from the world is naturally making you more aware of what does and does not serve you. So how do we deal with this first symptom of psychic awakening? We honor our heightened sensitivity and adjust our lives so that we are in balance with the world. Your heightened sensitivity is basically giving you valuable feedback on whether or not you are in a state of healthy balance with the world around you. If you find yourself overwhelmed by negative stories, change your relationship with them. If the information is irrelevant or unnecessary, then avoid those things so that you can nurture and balance your mind with information that does serve you. If you find that you're overly sensitive to certain foods or beverages, then this is likely because those foods or beverages do not serve your health and well-being. So cut them out of your diet and choose foods and beverages that do serve your well-being. The more you honor and listen to the wisdom of your heightened sensitivity, the more empowered you will be to live in healthy balance with yourself, others, and this world. The second sign of psychic awakening is feeling ungrounded. If you're feeling spacey, clumsy, or you're dealing with brain fog, sensory overwhelm, and tiredness, then it is highly likely that you are ungrounded. This means that you are not fully present in the here and now within your mind and body. The reason we become ungrounded as we awaken psychically is because we can get preoccupied with the influx of high resonating spiritual and mental information we're receiving. So instead of keeping your focus in the here and now and your presence in your physical body, you might be floating partially out of body in the higher energies to which you are awakening. Another common reason you might become ungrounded can be due to heightened sensitivity. If the world's energy is overwhelming, you might float out of your body or dissociate to escape the intensity. But here's the thing. Being ungrounded only makes heightened sensitivity worse. Instead of escaping the intense psychic sensory input, becoming ungrounded actually just makes you less equipped to balance it. Additionally, floating out of body or out of the present moment due to a preoccupation with higher energies doesn't improve your connection to those higher energies. You'll always experience the most empowered connection to higher energy and information when you ground your awareness of it into the here and now and apply that awareness practically to your daily living. In order to stay grounded, practice deep breathing, getting out into nature regularly, and practicing mindfulness. Hold a strong conscious intention to be fully present, grounded, centered, and powerful in the here and now. Affirm that it is safe and good for you to be here and fully present in the human earthly realm. Your energy and presence will follow your intentions and lifestyle practices. The more you ground regularly, the more strong and balanced you'll feel in your psychic awareness. The third sign of psychic awakening is reading other people. As we psychically awaken to our unity with others, we begin to sense their state of being. You might start feeling other people's feelings, hearing or seeing mental images of their thoughts, or gaining an overall knowingness of their intentions and perspective. In some respects, it can be useful to have this deeper insight into others because this can empower you to create more mutually beneficial interactions. However, it is incredibly important that you do not over-attach to other people's states of being. It's all too easy to become overwhelmed by other people's thoughts and feelings to the extent that it feels too intense, or in some cases painful to connect closely with others. Over-attachment to others' energy can also result in very unhealthy relationship patterns such as overgiving, people-pleasing, controlling others, or even codependence. You can avoid this by regularly grounding into your own energies, thoughts, and feelings. When you notice thoughts or feelings that belong to others, simply breathe, observe it, and let it go. You can allow the psychic information you receive on others to guide you in forming healthy boundaries and positive connections where it is appropriate, but never hold on to what doesn't belong to you. The fourth sign of psychic awakening is receiving signs and synchronicities. As you psychically awaken, you're opening up your conscious awareness of the spirit realm. This means that you're more actively and consciously interacting with your spiritual guides and angels. As you form a deeper and more conscious connection to spirit, you'll begin to receive signs and synchronicities as your guide's way of helping and communicating with you. Some common examples of these signs include seeing repetitive number sequences, also known as angel numbers, seeing symbolic images such as feathers, coins, flowers, or animals, seeing or hearing synchronistic messages in the world around you that seem to perfectly answer your life's questions, or having an uncanny coincidence that seems to perfectly line up with what you need. Receiving these signs and synchronicities always increases the more you actively work on awakening your psychic senses and communication with your guides and angels. These signs and synchronicities are the universe in conversation with you. So the more you listen to and answer the messages you receive, the more additional messages you'll get back, and the clearer and clearer those messages will become. The fifth sign of psychic awakening is glimpses of the spirit realm. Your psychic senses include clairvoyance, which is psychic seeing, clairaudience, which is psychic hearing, clairsentience, which is psychic feeling, and claircognizance, which is psychic knowingness or thinking. As you develop more conscious awareness of these psychic senses, they begin to blossom and open up more and more within your everyday life. As a result, you may find yourself sensing little glimpses of the spirit realm. You might see sparkles or flashes of different colored lights in the air. You might see another person's spiritual energy body or aura. You might hear high-pitched tones in your ear or flashes of celestial music or vibration. You might feel unexplainable warmth, love, or sweetness around you, or even smell disembodied flowery aromas in the air. You might also experience a sudden download of thought, inspiration, or psychic knowingness with no logical source. These are momentary glimpses of the spirit world, and they can be a real blessing. If you're ever feeling overwhelmed by this, you can simply call upon your angels and ask them to turn down the volume or intensity. If you want to learn more about the meaning of these glimpses, then call in your angels to guide you in receiving deeper messages. The sixth sign of psychic awakening is foresight. This is basically where you become aware of something before it happens. A common example of this is randomly thinking of someone whom you perhaps haven't seen or talked to in a long time, just before receiving an unexpected phone call or email from them. This foresight happens because you're basically becoming aware of that person thinking about you before they make that phone call. In other words, you're picking up on the mental and spiritual energy of that other person and experiencing its effects before they show up in your life in the physical realm. Foresight is a natural occurrence because spiritual and mental energy generally vibrate faster than physical forms. We can often, therefore, become aware of the spiritual and mental presence of something before it manifests in the physical world. If you experience foresight, remember these two important tips. First, do not fear this gift. Remember, it is normal, natural, and working in your favor to help you hold a state of balance and harmony in this world. Secondly, don't become overly attached to the specifics when it comes to foresight. Sometimes things appear differently in the mental or spiritual plane than they do in the physical plane. This is often due to the fact that things show up symbolically in the mental and spiritual planes. The symbols you receive at those levels of being don't always translate to literal physical representations of what will occur in this physical world. So, when you receive a psychic impression of foresight, simply thank that impression, then release attachments to the specifics, trusting in your angels and spirit guides to help lead and guide you through the coming events with harmony and balance. The seventh sign of psychic awakening is vivid dreams. When we're asleep, our spirit is highly active. Your sleep is a time for deep subconscious learning and healing, as well as powerful spiritual growth and expansion. In fact, a great deal of the transformation associated with the Ascension process occurs during your sleep. If you'd like to learn more about that, check out my Ascension in Your Sleep video here. Having an increase in vivid dreams is part of psychic awakening because during your dreams, your third eye is highly active. Your third eye chakra is the energy center associated with your psychic senses, and it's located near your pineal gland at your forehead. As you awaken psychically, your third eye opens and expands in its ability to consciously attune to psychic information. Much of that attunement occurs during your sleep, resulting in vivid dreams that might include visits with spirit guides, loved ones in heaven, spiritual healing or learning, or visions of foresight. You'll remember these dreams increasingly the more you deliberately hone and nurture your psychic senses. If this is something you're feeling called to do, then the best way is to join my Angelic Ascension coaching program, where I teach you everything about awakening your psychic gifts fully, healing at a deep personal level, and learning to work side by side with your angels on your ascension path. Again, registration closes on March 3rd and spots are limited, so be sure to apply before then. If you're watching this after March 3rd, you can still click the link I left for you in the description below and get on the waiting list. Overall, your angels want you to know that your psychic awareness is a natural, beautiful, and universal gift. It is possible for anyone to learn how to balance it so that you can use this gift to create greater understanding, balance, and harmony in your life. To start nurturing this gift right away, increase your mindfulness of yourself. All of the psychic information you'll ever receive has to flow through the deeper aspects of you in order to make it to your conscious mind, after all. So, the more loving awareness you have in your relationship with yourself, the more awareness you'll be able to bring to your psychic gifts. Thank you so much for watching this video and for liking, commenting, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell. It is my honor to be connected with you. Remember, if you want to work with me in my Angelic Ascension program, you can click the link I left for you in the description below, ascensionwithsarah.com, to apply. I'm sending you so much gratitude and want you to know until next time that you are so loved and so very blessed. Bye!